Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is going to be about going direct versus going recruiter and the pros and cons of each. So I wanted to share with you some of my insights as to what each route will entail so that you have an idea as to what you're getting into depending on which one you choose. So one of the benefits of going with direct is that your timeline is a little bit faster than those who go through a recruiter. This means that your application will be processed a lot faster, including getting your interview invitation, getting your interview results, and getting your documents reviewed and approved will be a little bit quicker than for those who are going through an agency. Another benefit is that if you have any questions, your EPIK coordinator will be able to answer them pretty quickly. Because there is no middleman, you are able to have faster response times as well. So the cons of going with EPIK is that you don't have a second pair of eyes to look over your application to make sure that it is up to standard and that your application stands out. Another con is that EPIK's own responsibility when you land in Korea is for them to get you to orientation, making sure that you complete orientation, having you sign that contract, and that is it. After that you sign your contract, EPIK has no responsibility over you. So let's talk about the benefits of going with a recruiter. The benefits of going through a recruiter is you'll have a second pair of eyes to look over your application. Therefore, they'll be able to make your application stand out and really critique you on your personal essays and lesson plan. Another benefit is that they'll provide you with a mock interview. So if you feel like this is going to be an area where you'll be struggling with, each agency, such as Korean Horizons and Korvia, will provide you with a mock interview that is very vigorous and in-depth. They will help you to expand on your answers and really touch upon points that you have not thought about, which will make your answers a lot stronger. Another benefit is that when you do land in Korea, Korean Horizons and Korvia will have a pre-orientation where you'll be able to get to meet other agency recruits, as well as they'll be able to help you set up a SIM card and bank account. You'll also receive a welcome package as well. I know that with Korean Horizons, Alistair does offer to pay for some of the necessities that you would like to have as soon as you land in Korea, but the downside is that you do have to pay him back. With Korvia, they do have a pre-orientation where they'll have a raffle. They will work with you to get your bank account set up at KEB and will help you get a SIM card through Kimchi Mobile. Now let's talk about the cons of going through a recruiter. If you go through a recruiter, your timeline is a little bit slower. Therefore, your application being processed, your interview invitation, your interview result, and getting your documents reviewed and approved will be a little bit slower because you are going through a middleman. That is not to say that going through a recruiter is a bad thing because you have that extra help with you. It is just to say that you will have to wait a little bit longer for certain aspects of the process. For me, I personally went through a recruiter and I had to wait a month and a half until I got my interview invitation. But through a lot of research, I was prepared for this, and despite the fact that I did have to wait a month and a half, it allowed me to really get to see what the interview was like from other applicants, what kind of answers they were looking for, and to prepare myself for the process after the interview, which was getting my documents in, through which courier, and what was needed. The one thing I want to mention is that regardless if you go direct or recruiter, this does not deter you from getting the placement that you want. If you really want Seoul, which is a very competitive placement, if you were to go through direct, be the first one to be interviewed, get your documents in really quickly and be approved, this is not guarantee that you'll get Seoul. Same thing with going through a recruiter. Now, if you were to go through a recruiter, get your application in on time as quickly as possible, same thing with your documents, you could get Seoul, or you could not. When it comes down to placements, going direct or recruiter does not matter, as it is the MOEs or POEs that will be judging your application. EPIK and the recruitment agencies have nothing to do with it. So if you really want Seoul, don't be deterred from going through a recruiter. And if you feel like you are able to be on top of your game and know what you would like to fill in your application with, then don't be afraid to go direct. The reason why I personally went through a recruiter is because I wanted to make sure that by a certain time I'll be in South Korea. Because EPIK is getting more and more competitive, I wanted to make sure that I have alternative options in case EPIK does fall through. So Each recruitment agency will have their own clientele or own portfolio of MOEs or POEs that they work with. After you interview with your recruiter, just make sure that you let them know that you are interested in other programs as well or other public schools in addition to EPIK so that they are able to ask you for a supplementary document. For me, in addition to EPIK, I added in an additional YouTube video introducing myself and why I should be hired as an English teacher in the case that EPIK does not work out for me, and then my recruiter is able to hand in my application and my supplementary video to the POE that they are working with. I felt like my lesson plan might have been weak, but they were able to kind of give me suggestions as to how to make my application stand out and to really critique my personal essays to make sure that it's the best that it could be. The last thing I want to add is that always do your research. There are so many blogs out there about people's experiences that the more you know, the better. Now, I want to talk to you about some timelines in regards to going direct at Recruiter. So if you were to go through it direct, at the beginning of the application process, your timeline is going to be a little bit slower. This will happen in both the spring and fall intake. So for the spring intake, applications open on August 1st. This means that you are able to hand in your applications right at the beginning of August. And there are many applicants who did this who applied on August 1st. The earliest interview times that they received were the beginning of September, just because EPIK offices are quite busy during the month of August because they need time to process everyone's application. So same thing for fall. If you are hoping to apply for the fall intake, if applications open on February 1st, expect February to be a very busy time for EPIK and to not hear back for an interview until March. However, if you were to apply from October onwards, then you can expect to hear about an interview within 3 days. Same thing for fall. If you apply in March and onwards, you can expect to hear about an interview quite quickly. Same thing with the interview results. So for spring, it will be September, and for fall, it will be in March. This means that you might have to wait at least a week to know about your interview results. But after that, you'll be hearing about your interview results quite quickly. The fastest I've heard of was half an hour wait time to about 3 days was the main average for me after the beginning of the application process. So this was around close to the midway point of the application window. In terms of going through a recruiter, timelines for this is that recruiters have to wait 1 month before EPIK applications can be handed in to the EPIK offices. This means that for the spring 2019 intake, although applications opened on August 1st, recruitment agencies are only allowed to begin setting EPIK their applications on September 1st, and this is just an EPIK policy. It's not because the recruitment agencies want to hold on to your application. So same thing with the fall. Applications open February 1st. Recruitment agencies have to wait until March to be able to send in your applications. After this 1 month wait time for both intakes, anytime your application is ready, the recruitment agencies will just send them as is. So for example, if you were to send in your application on September 2nd or March 2nd, it means that if your application is good and ready to go, has been approved by a recruiter, then your application will be sent immediately to EPIK. There's no wait time after that initial 1 month period. In terms of getting your documents reviewed and approved, if you were to go direct, you are sending documents directly to your EPIK coordinator who will review and then later on approve your documents. And this can be a very long process, and there's no pattern for it. This could take at least 2 weeks because, again, everyone's busy at the EPIK offices and each person's documentations will have to be looked at very carefully as it does pertain to your E2 visa. However, if you're going through a recruiter, it could take at least 2 to 3 weeks minimum. I think I've waited at least a month until my documents were reviewed and approved because my recruiter has to review it first. And then once it's been approved, it'll get sent to EPIK who will review it again, and then EPIK will approve it. So this is just to give you an idea of what the timelines are like with going direct and going recruiter. If there are any specific things you want me to talk about, let me know in the comment section below. Good luck.